Yahoo News, 18th of May 2023, China is trying to become a global mediator while being mired in disputes with a focus on ending the Yemen conflict. China has been inspired to increase its influence by taking on the role of a global dispute mediator due to its effective use of financial resources to mediate between Saudi Arabia and Iran, two countries that have long been adversaries. It suggests intervening in the conflict in Yemen between the Saudi kingdom and the theocratic state of Iran by backing their proxies. Global disputes vary widely in nature, substance, and consequences. Some confrontations have many facets, are complicated, or are the product of egotism. If the mediator can address the fundamental problems, which are frequently unnoticeable and require much patience to be understood, reconciliation will be successful. Recent activity in Chinese high circles suggests that the Chinese Foreign Ministry is involved in the Ukrainian war. Chinese President Xi Jinping has met President Putin twice in the past 6 months and has spoken on the phone with the President of Ukraine. Both presidents have reaffirmed how similar their views on global strategy are and promised their respective peoples that they would support one another, particularly in trying times. China presented a 12-point position statement in February of last year in conjunction with the first anniversary of the Ukrainian war. It was claimed that the position paper was biased in favor of Russia. Beijing chose not to outline the strategy, resulting in a truce and its aftermath. Strangely, Moscow and Kyiv declared they were open to the position paper, while the West overwhelmingly rejected it. Zelensky requested that Ukraine's borders with Russia be restored, which Moscow understood meant that Ukraine and the West must first communicate. The West largely praised President Xi's lengthy phone talk to Zelensky as part of Beijing's strategy, but China did not denounce Russia for its hasty move against Ukraine. Despite this, Beijing is being pushed by Washington and its allies to make further attempts to broker a truce and actively engage Zelensky. If Washington's pressure on Beijing is genuine and not just rhetoric, we find its persuasion absurd. It is ludicrous since Zelensky is Washington and its allies' brainchild and brave proxy, so why would they want China to succeed over him? China has also condemned the West for prolonging the Ukraine war by supplying Ukraine with weapons to deter Russian invasion. When Xi visited Russia in March, Putin personally welcomed China's calls for peace talks. Additionally, when President Xi and French President Emmanuel Macron spoke last month in Beijing, Ukraine came up. The two decided to exert more effort to end the argument. The fact that China and the West appear to be adopting a more realistic approach to the Ukrainian problem when the issue of resolving it is to be dealt with in all seriousness is another trend that molded these events side by side. Following the infamous spy balloon episode in February last year, top Chinese diplomat Wang Yi and U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan met in Vienna for 2 days of candid talks. Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang is touring Europe to normalize China's relations with the West. Given China's involvement in the Ukrainian war and the damage it had caused to Western ties, China suffered a setback. Beijing would communicate with all relevant parties to the crisis, Qin repeated in a meeting with his German counterpart Annalena Baerbock. Li Huawei has been designated by President Xi as China's special envoy for Eurasian matters, according to the South China Morning Post on May 12. The following week, that is, the present week, he will travel to Russia and Ukraine. Beginning Monday, May 14, he will also visit Poland, France, Germany, and Russia. China will be one of the select few nations with envoys visiting both countries involved in hostilities. Li, a diplomat-ranked vice minister, will be the highest-ranking Chinese official to visit Ukraine since hostilities began in February 2022. Without a doubt, his visit shows China's dedication to advancing dialogue and peace abroad. China is clearly on the side of peace, according to Wang Wenbin, the spokesman for China's foreign ministry, who announced the trip on Wednesday. As stated, China wants to increase its worldwide influence and sees mediation as a powerful tool. The question is whether it also illustrates the contradiction in China's dedication to world peace. China's unfriendly treatment of Taiwan and other smaller island nations in the South China Sea, its aggressive posture toward India along the Himalayan border, its fictitious claim to the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh, as well as China's illegal occupation of Tibet and the expulsion of the Dalai Lama, all speak to China's purported commitment to peace being based on double standards. We will never forget how China blocked the UN's identification of Pakistani terrorists or terrorized and interned the Uyghur Muslim minority of the autonomous region of Xinjiang. China has a lot of work to do before it can honestly say it is dedicated to world peace. China has extended its global influence at the expense of other people's interests to gain power, influence, and trade. But when the Quad 4 emerged, it was angry that an alliance had occurred that could derail its plans for worldwide hegemony.